Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on November 16th, 2025 at approximately 8 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's journey to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer. Oops. The tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my own day-to-day life, and the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I guide virtually every decision I make by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before I get into things, we are going to take a look today at kickstarting the world around you. But before we get into it, I do want to tip my hat to Storm. Storm is my primary moderator in the background, and he's the one that keeps all the technology running. Okay, and rest assured, for me, that is one heck of a challenge. And I've got an interesting problem with my monitor. That's always fun. But he is also the one that makes sure the problem children are not in the room long enough to be problem children. So with that in mind, if you look at the top of the stream, at the top of the chat room, you'll find a list of rules of the chat room. They're also scrolling across the bottom of the screen. So if you suddenly find yourself outside, that's cute, outside the chat room, the odds are what happened is you overstepped. Now, I am having fun with the setup. I keep moving my monitor, and my monitor is just hooped today. That's always fun. So, put that there and hope that stays stable, but I'm missing the whole bottom half of my screen, which I don't have to have, but you do. In any event, when we take a look at this, okay, now we also have LA in the LA Moon in the room. She is the primary moderator inside the chat room, and she's the one that helps keep conversations going if things stall. How's it going, LA? Hopefully things are going reasonably well. I realize things are complicated around your end. We also have now Mike Jones. You are in with the gold. How you doing, Mike? Glad to see you. And coming in behind you, we actually have Nathan from the Quantum Show. Now, Nathan is a moderator, but he runs his own show as well, literally called the Quantum Show. And I'm certain at some point tonight, we're going to get a link up there to the Quantum Show because Nathan puts on some really good information quite regularly. Why, pray tell, is my monitor doing that? Now, I scroll down here a little, and Operation Shutdown. You are in with the silver. How you doing? Glad you could join us. The nice part about this world, is we can alter everything in it by shockwave. And I do mean that in a positive fashion. Okay? When you take a look at the world you're living in, and bear in mind these are the same tools I personally use. You start in your own home. Okay? When you start in your own home, clear the clutter out of the way. Make sure that your office, wherever you work on your finances, make certain that is stable and clear. That is the brainchild of any home, any business. Now, to be clear, a home is a business. Okay, and this is why I put so much effort into getting the junk out of the way. I don't think with the way I'm going to try and adjust this one more time, then I'm going to leave it sit. And hopefully that stabilizes it. But I have one heck of a glow up top, and I don't know why. Actually, I do. It's a light bulb, but normally it doesn't create that kind of glare. Anyway, when we start looking at kickstarting the world around you, it starts at home. Now, here's the neat part about it. Okay, many people have turned around and said, be the change you desire to see. Well, this literally means when you're taking a look at the world around you, take a look in your own home first. Now, you guys all know, most of you know, I am Christian in as much as I believe in God, I believe in Christ. Okay? And I'm going to quote Christ because, well, frankly, I know the quote. Okay? But what he said was, let he who has not sinned cast the first stone. This simply means if you don't like the way the world is operating outside of your home, whatever the problem, whether it's a political thing, a medical thing, a social thing, doesn't matter. Make certain that what you've got going on in your home is sticking by the guidelines that you desire to see. Okay. For me, I tell people get rid of the clutter. Okay. I am going through a staggering amount of stuff and disposing of it as quick as I can. Okay. Now, I notice LA has mentioned that it's a little chaotic around around her. I'm thinking it's a lot chaotic around a lot of people. That will not make you feel any better, LA. The point being this. I use the list method to clear things out of the way. Now that, quite frankly, something you got to keep in mind is no matter how much effort you put into changing something, if it involves somebody else, it's only 50% of the required effort. Now, to be clear, okay, I've had problems with my own brothers. I've done everything I can that I can think of to open the door to get communication running. They are quite literally, in my opinion, making no effort to close the gap. Therefore, it will not matter how much more effort I put in. I'm not going to get the connection. Okay. And that leaves little options as to what I'm going to be able to do. In the meantime, however, I took a look at my office and went, okay, I need all the clutter out of it. So I cleared my office out. I've got some files sitting on the desk that have to be gone through, but because they're in the middle of my desk, I've gone through over half of them today. Okay, I emptied the entire filing cabinet over here, over to my left there. Okay, when I did that, it all of a sudden revealed a lot of the garbage. Now, I will take a look at a company or at somebody's house and go, okay, here's the problem. And, I'll tell you point blank, if your office is a mess, you're not going to think clearly. Now, let's be clear. The office itself is wherever you work on your finances and any planning you do. This may be a rocking chair in the corner with a file folder. Okay. Positively mistaken. How are you? You are in with the bronze. Now, because I will walk into a business or somebody else's home and when asked, we'll go, here's the problem. Okay. If I'm going to spot that problem and tell a business or tell a person, this is where the hiccup is, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm already working on disposing of the problem on my end. I did consider upgrading my wardrobe for a while, right? And then I looked at it and went, it's probably the bottom of my list of priorities. But the more you change yourself, okay, the more the world around you is going to change. So you desire to kickstart the world around you, start off in the morning. Okay. Do I have one? Well, I'm not going to go and grab the hard copy, but the real key to changing it and to changing your life, I kid you not, and it's about as simple as it gets. What do we got? Oh, yeah. LA's going, that's pretty much how I have to approach my sister having the heart attack. Yeah, and she goes, I've done what I can. And unfortunately, that really is. You can offer all the support that you will. Okay, as you guys know, some of you do, Just 2 months ago, I was literally debating whether to survive or not. I had a heart attack myself. Well, to heck with a heart attack, I had full cardiac arrest. But unless the individual goes, I'm changing my life, I'm going to survive, I'm going to live, all the prayers in the world are not likely to do a lot. Okay? And I mean, that's just the brutal truth of it. In your world, take a look at the world you've got. What do you have control over? If it involves anybody else, anybody at all, okay, then what you're going to find is that you have literally one thing going on. No matter how much effort you put in, you're only ever going to be putting in 50% of the required effort. In your home, you've got 100% control. Okay. Now, and when I say in your home, you've got it, this means if you're not involving anybody else, you absolutely have the ability to change the way your life is going. Okay. I just pulled down some information, and I will tell you, the internet, it's got a lot of information on it. It's got a lot of garbage on it and a lot of good stuff. Here's the kicker. I will tell you wholeheartedly, if you're having health issues, okay, absolutely go talk to a doctor. The odds are they know more than you do. In my case, that's a toss-up. I'm a bit of an anomaly. Okay, but you desire the world to be more friendly, to be more communicative in your area. Okay, go for a walk. Okay, you don't have to go with anybody, go for a walk yourself. And whoever you're passing, whatever their gender, however they're dressed, whatever they're doing, just say hi. That's it. You don't even have to scream hi or put your hand up and wave. All you do is say hi. Make sure it's loud enough they can hear you if possible. Honestly, it likely won't start out that way. I mean, with you saying it loud enough for them to hear. But here's the thing. Okay, sooner or later, and I cannot give you a time frame when, people will start saying hi back to you. Okay, but you've got to initiate it. This will start the communication lines rolling. Now, I've been doing this now for a couple of years, and this gives you an idea how long it can take. Okay, now I'm starting to get people as they walk by me say hi. And we're not talking about a long conversation. We're talking one word. Okay, that's all we're talking about. It will evolve. And if you haven't done it, you're going to have to take my word for it, or it might be advisable to anyway. But by opening your mouth and just saying hi, you'll start that communication connection. Okay, I was walking along with Kira, my wife, and all I did was say hi to this young couple that was working outside. They were doing some yard work. All I did was stop and say hi. Okay, that was it. Well, more to the point, I said hi. They returned the hi, and I stopped long enough to have a short conversation. At least I thought it was short. But you got to realize this was after 2 years. Now, where we start looking at the world that you're in, take a look at your finances. Okay, you take a look at the world. The changes you make, the ones you show the world, are the ones that are going to start being reflected back. Okay, now there is an old native proverb that goes, there's a wolf fighting in each one of you. There's two wolves fighting in each one of you. One is full of evil, it's full of anger, bitterness, violence. The other one is full of caring, joviality, communication. Now, which wolf wins? Which one survives? Well, the reality is the one you feed. Take a look at the reality of dogs, or cats, or kids, or people. If you don't feed them, they die. Okay, it's just a brutal reality of it, but it applies to everything. You know, one of the biggest things about kickstarting the world around you, do not wait until a convenient time. There is no convenient time that I've ever seen. I will tell you, there is no way in my part of the world right now, I'm not going outside for a walk. It's night. But I will be going out for a walk tomorrow. Okay. And yes, I do end up taking my wife with me. And quite honestly, it's a question of who's got the most motivation. In my case, I can't control anybody else's motivation. Okay. There are ways of motivating people, but most of them are ill-advised. So all I do is I'm doing this, period, and invite my wife along. Okay. I do not put things on hold. It's like, this is what I'm doing. Now, if she says she wants to go, absolutely. You ask your wife or your partner to go for a walk. For pity's sakes, if you've got a child, okay, and even if they're a teenager, ask them to go for a walk with you. You don't even have to talk to each other. Okay. This is the remarkable thing about kickstarting a world that is completely lost or almost completely. Okay. Our politicians are doing absolutely stupid things. Okay. And I'm not talking about the Canadian politicians, which is where I am. I mean politicians around the world. Okay. I'm looking at business owners making absolutely bizarre decisions, i.e., let's buy a company because it's doing really well. Now we'll change everything in it and then wonder why it's failing. Okay. Now, I'll tell you, when you're making changes, it will create some complications around you. Now, I've been fighting with this issue, and you guys know I have been, of am I actually doing anything? Am I actually making an impact? Okay. And it dawned on me literally just either first thing this morning or last thing last night. I'm not sure which. But it dawned on me. When you start looking at the civilization in today's world, and I'm pulling this from information I picked up, the last 5,000 years, people knew how to heal. Okay. They knew how to heal, how to mend things, how to repair, how to heal they knew how to heal by herbalism, by touch, by nurturing. They knew how to cook. They knew how to clean. They knew how to sew things, how to make clothing, how to make shelters. In 2 generations, we have lost track of most of this information. It is absolutely amazing. Okay, this world has become so sterile that it's sick. Okay, now this is, in all fairness, my belief. And if you'll notice in the chat room, Storm has just popped up a link to Nathan's Quantum Show. Absolutely check it out. I prefer, I really would appreciate if you stick around long enough to finish this show. But Nathan's show has been around for a very long time. It's been around longer than I have been. Well, longer than this show. Now, society is ill. Okay? Take a look all around you. People are constantly saying, here's what the government's doing wrong. Here's what society is doing. Here's all the wars. I'm telling you, per capita, there are way more people getting involved in graduation ceremonies, marriages, anniversaries, celebrations across the board. Okay, there are way more people being born than are dying. And yet, what is the news littered with? All the depressing stuff going on. Okay, now I choose to ignore the news. Okay, it's up to you what you do with it. Yeah, LA goes, I think they're asking the wrong advisors. Yeah, no doubt. See, now take a look at civilization as a body. Okay, now, normally when you look at a virus in a body, okay, when you look at a virus, in a body, in a computer, you go, that's a bad thing. It's called a virus. Okay. But, so we look at it going, if you've got a virus, we're in trouble. Okay. Well, what if that virus is not designed to kill you? What if that virus has been programmed to make you better? I will tell you, the body politic, that whole civilization that's already comfortably involved in negativity, will fight the change in perspective. Okay, we call, thanks to LA Moon, we call this stream Positive Perceptions. Okay, the magazine that has been on hold for almost 6 months now is Positive Perspectives. That is available through the link at buymeacoffee.com/innervoicej. Okay, now here's the neat little thing about this whole virus concept. I've been fighting with myself, trying to figure out where I went sideways. People tell me I'm helping. I'm looking at this going, I'm still seeing a world in dire straits. Now, take a look in the mirror yourself. You may be facing the same problem. Maybe you're doing as much as you can to help the people around you, and you keep getting kicked. And you go, why am I doing this? Am I really helping? Now, take a look at yourself as I did. Just a suggestion. Either this morning or last night, I finally looked in the mirror and went, what if I'm a virus, but I'm striving to change the negative aspect of life? The rest of society, that massive majority of it, is going to fight the idea. This is just the way society works. It's the way reality works. Okay, anything ill or anything that is comfortable in its current rut is going to fight change. Okay, it boils down to, what are you comfortable with? But what if that virus is doing its best to help straighten out poor programming on your part? How many people do you know that know how to build a virus? And therefore, I mean, it's easy to destroy. So how many hackers out there go and say, hey, I'm going to build a virus, and I'm going to corrupt all of this stuff? Why not build a virus that says, I see a problem, let's alter the problem? Instead of looking at yourself as a misfit, as a complication, take a look at yourself as a little spark. Every conflagration starts with a spark. Every one of them. Okay, now there's all kinds of ways to get a spark to start. But I finally got looking at it going, okay, I'm looking at the world absolutely differently than virtually everybody I know. Okay, and people go, well, you can't paint everybody with the same brush. I can't. I don't bother. I'm lazy. Okay, using a brush takes too much time. So what I did, I started from the beginning. I went, okay, that's it. Enough is enough. I'm going to take a bucket of paint and go glorp on civilization. Now, if you're my age, back when I was a kid, they used to have a neat little dye that they gave you at the dentist, where you chew this little pill up, and it would cover the inside of your teeth, everything that had plaque, with red. Okay, looked really gross on occasion, kind of looked like you were bleeding to death, but it identified all of the toxins. Okay, then you went in, you were told, go and brush your teeth until all the red's gone. So all I did with my outlook on civilization was this. I took a bucket of paint, poured it over the entire civilization, and went, okay, now let's clean off all the stuff that is, and let's see where we're standing. And I rinsed it off. Anything that was negative or that I didn't absolutely know where it stood was left covered in paint. 8 billion people plus. I found 12 people, And if you don't fall into the 12, don't panic. There's 8 billion other people just like you. Okay. I found 12 people that I will quite readily, I'll ask them a question. If they give me an answer, I know absolutely for certain it's going to be honest to the best of their ability. Okay. They will never and never have told me they're going to do something and then not backed it up. Okay. Now, I would love to say I'm as perfect as some of these people seem to be, regarding me. I do my best. Where finances are concerned, I'm a shambles. LA goes, make sure it has glitter, referring to the paint. That stuff sticks to everything. So now what I'm doing is I'm looking at this, and this is where kickstarting the world around you comes in. Paint everybody the same way, and then identify the people you know that you can bank on. Okay? It may surprise you which ones you can and that you feel you can, and which ones you feel you cannot. Okay? So I did that. 12 out of 8 billion. Okay? But now I'm looking in the mirror going, okay, what am I doing wrong that the other people are not following through when I talk to them? Well, first and foremost, I'm not doing anything wrong. All I'm doing is going, I'm making mistakes, don't get me wrong. But all I'm doing is going, here's what I desire. I was asked by somebody the other day, if I can help with, if you require anything, just ask. So I asked the question I've been asking for 4 years. Shock of shocks, they did not respond. Okay, I cannot blame myself for that. It wasn't something I did wrong. They asked, I answered. I'm just blunt. Okay, and the reality is, I would look at society now and go, here's where we have a problem. Okay, if you're listening to politicians that are telling you that they're doing this for your own good, ask yourself, number one, is it helping? Okay. Number two, are they doing for themselves what they're doing to you? Okay. You do the same with everybody you deal with. Now, this takes some getting used to. Okay. Most of you are used to biting your tongue, being politically correct. I failed that lesson. Okay. I failed a lot of lessons, not the least of which was tact and subtlety. So now I'm looking at this world going, okay, you desire the world around you to change. Starting now. Start altering your own life. Anything that is not building towards clarity of mind, stability of finances, a secure roof over your head, anything that is not pointing towards what you're aiming for. Okay, what you feel is necessary. Okay, and I'm not talking about looking down the road and going, oh, I'd like to have a house in 20 years. How about looking at where you are right this moment? Okay, because this is the only time you can change anything. But you desire to change the world around you, it is critical you stop playing games with the idea of waiting. I gotta wait for my boss to tell me what's going on. That only applies to a certain degree. Okay. First and foremost, when it comes to work, if you've got a job that you're not content with, do not outright quit it, but do start looking for a replacement. I wouldn't recommend telling your boss you're looking for a new replacement, for a replacement job, because the way most business and most people are, you tell them, I'm not happy, so I'm looking for a new job. The odds are they're going to cut you loose before you find one. This will not end well for you. I had a coworker that was working. She actually had 2 jobs, and one of the jobs let her go. So what did she do? She quit the other one. Now, Don't ask me the rationality behind that. I really didn't get it. But you desire the world around you to change. Start with the world right where you are. Okay? Now I'm sitting on a chair. So where do I start? I start with looking at the bottom of the chair. There's nothing under it. I'm on the chair. So that's fine. Now I can start expanding from here. But everything that you're not content with, that is not contributing to your happiness, to your success, okay? I'm not the one to tell you what success is, okay? Maybe success for you is just getting a solid night's sleep. So let's deal with that one first. Okay, I am no medical practitioner. These are just the tools I personally use. Okay, now, where it comes to getting a decent night's sleep, my understanding is simple. Every hour before midnight local time, works out according to the body to be about 2 hours worth of rest after midnight. Now, here's the kicker with getting a good night's sleep. Number one, don't worry about the time you're going to bed. Yeah, there's counterintuitive, but shouldn't I go to bed at the same time every day? That's what my parents did when I was growing up. That's what their parents did. Absolutely, they did. They were all taught the same thing. Okay, but I understand the reason you were sent to bed early as a kid wasn't for your health, it was for theirs. Okay, it's like I heard one person put it. I have 2 cups of coffee every morning. The first cup is to wake me up. The second cup is to give me the strength to deal with all the idiots that are going to annoy me. Now, the trick to getting a good night's sleep. Pick a time in the morning to get up. Doesn't matter what time. Okay, it doesn't really matter except for one thing. Globally speaking, after over 100,000 clients, I've come to understand that the most successful people around the world are up and active by between 5 and 6 a.m. local time. So, you desire to change your world around you now? For tomorrow morning, set your alarm and get up, no matter when you go to bed, get up between 5 and 6 in the morning. I personally recommend 6. Okay, you get up, and in the book I wrote, Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams, it actually details the way to do that. Set the alarm to get up at 6. Okay, get up, go to the washroom, do what you have to, come back, get dressed, and make your bed, in whichever order works for you, as far as making your bed and getting dressed. Once you've done that, okay, you're ready to start the day, and here's why. Number one, you beat the most stubborn, the most difficult task in the world for virtually everybody, and that is getting out of bed and starting your day. Okay, that's the alarm. So when the alarm goes off, you wait long enough for you to orient yourself in the world. Now, for sighted people, that literally boils down to wait till you can see. But as is the case with my wife, she is 100% blind. So she's got to wait for her ears to kick in. You get up at 6 o'clock, get that done. You've now overcome the biggest obstacle you'll ever run into. Your own tendency, your own stubborn disposition, and your tendency to procrastinate. Then you've got yourself organized, you get the bed made. This is, by all accounts that I've run into, one of the most annoying tasks ever invented. So, you get up, you overcome the stubborn streak, you make your bed. That is the most annoying task anybody ever invented. But it's done and you haven't even left the bedroom. Okay, now get on with your day. Anything that is not working for you, that is not contributing to your success, this is the thing that we've got to start changing. But we don't keep putting it off. Now, I realize what I'm doing here. Okay, we usually seem to get between 5 and 10 people tops. Well, 5 and 10 people average. I watch people come in and do streams where they go, "Oh, the world's ending and we're all going to die," and they've got hundreds, if not thousands, of people listening in. Okay, and yet I'm telling you, this is where our problem is. So I started looking at myself just within the last 24 hours as a virus that is striving to guide this world back to light. Okay, now the question is whether or not you're going to emulate this and simply spread this virus so that the world can start healing, or are you going to sit back and wait for somebody else to do it? I'm telling you, I'm 62 years old. I've been waiting this lifetime only. I've been waiting 62 years for someone to get off their tail feathers and do this. Now, my father did what he could. Of course, he passed away in 2016, so that pretty much ended his efforts. But I took a look at it going, there's something really wrong with the world where we sit back and wait. Okay, the number of companies that I know of that treat their staff like absolute garbage and then can't figure out why they don't have staff loyalty is absolutely amazing. Okay, or deplorable, depending on who you talk to. Now, one of the biggest things that I found is this. Yes, I have, I've battled depression my entire life. In spite of calling this stream Positive Perceptions and the magazine Positive Perspectives, in spite of that, I probably have one of the darkest outlooks on life you can have. Although, thankfully, not suicidal. Because Lord knows if I was, I had a perfect opportunity a month ago to just check out and be done with it. But what I'm telling you is now is the time to look in the mirror and go, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not buying into this garbage of waiting for somebody else to straighten it out. Literally, billions of people pray daily for their God, by whatever name, to come down and straighten out this mess. Billions of people have done it for thousands of years. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen anybody come down here and straighten this mess out. But I can tell you why not. You have free will. You have free choice. Okay, you were given that. That absolved God of all of his responsibility to correct it. Okay, you've got the choice. Are you going to let your world continue to deteriorate and continue to collapse? Or are you going to start actively doing something about it? And before somebody jumps on a really bizarre bandwagon, I don't mean grab a placard and stand out in front of City Hall and complain. I mean, do something physically. If you're complaining, if you don't like the garbage on the street, okay, don't complain to City Hall about it, because we've done that for centuries. In case you hadn't noticed, it hasn't had a whole lot of impact. However, when a bunch of people get together and start cleaning up, okay, all of a sudden things happen. A number of years ago, I used to be down, and there was a lot of kids in the park, and I came across this group, and they were sitting there. There was 8, 10 kids, all sitting around and amongst garbage on the ground. The garbage can was only 15 feet from them. Okay. And I walked up to the group. I looked at them, and this is where my, subtle disposition comes in handy. I looked at the bunch of them, and I went, congratulations, guys. You are going to make perfect adults. And one of the kids looks at me and goes, well, thank you. I says, it wasn't a compliment. I says, you're sitting here in a cesspool, right? And the garbage can is 15 feet away. And 3 or 4 of them looked at me and went, well, we didn't put it there. We didn't put the garbage there. I said, no, you didn't. I said, I won't argue that point. I said, but I'll guarantee I didn't put it there either. And I started walking in amongst them, picking up the garbage. and taking it over and putting it in the garbage can. One of those kids got up and immediately started giving me a hand. Okay. The rest of them sat on their tail feathers. This means if you're looking at 10 kids, this means only 10% got up and helped. But that's still 10% more than there were. And it meant that we had 2 people, double the effort, going into cleaning up the garbage. The garbage got cleaned up. But it wasn't because we sat around and went, oh, woe is me, I didn't put it there, I shouldn't have to move it. Okay, absolutely, if you didn't put it there, you shouldn't have to. But if not you, who? If not when? If not now, when? You desire this world to change. You desire inflation to start coming down. You desire to start having a little bit more freedom to operate. And I don't mean freedom to beat on people. Okay. What I'm talking about is freedom to be yourself. Okay. I saw a couple of young adults coming through the parking lot the other day. They were dressed in onesies, as in they were both wearing their pajamas, and they came to the grocery store. And I just looked at the 2 of them and I congratulated them on it. I said, way to go. I said, nice to see you're living life your way and harming no one, right? And the 2 of them looked at me, smiled, thanked me for the comment, and carried on. All you got to do is be nice. It doesn't cost money. It doesn't take effort. Okay, say things that you would like to hear. Okay, and just maybe you'll find something a little bit more to look at. Okay, this is the way we change the world. This is how you kickstart the world. Now, understand, we have 6 people in the room right now. Well, 6 that it's showing. Okay, 6 out of 697. Now, I am not expecting in this room to ever see anything over, a couple of percent of the people subscribed. People have their own lives. Okay, but we've got less than 1% listening. Now, if just one of you goes out and starts, if you haven't already, and I know a couple of the ones in the room already do this, and you start changing the world immediately around you in the way we've been talking about, your world will shift. Okay, at least the local one. And the people that come in, just like bees that are pollinating the flowers, okay, and pollinating the trees. A little bee comes into the area, a visitor comes into your area, sees how you're doing things, gets a positive impact, and goes and does the same thing in their area. This is how the world changes. Okay, one person at a time. But do not continue to wait for other people to make it happen. The responsibility is literally yours. Same as it's my responsibility to get on when I get done this stream, to get up and do what I know has to be done. Okay, now I have a bad situation right now, and it really boils down to an excuse. Okay, but it's the same one you're using, so I can work with it. You wake up in the morning and you go, but I don't really want to get out of bed yet. Okay, this is where stubborn disposition comes in. This is where you make that commitment to yourself to change your life for you. Okay, because if you don't change your life for you, nobody's going to, at least not in the way you're hoping for. Many of you, if you come from my generation, you remember your parents coming in. Yeah, LA goes, you'll never know who's watching or who is impacted by your action. Absolutely true. Absolutely. And I can give you all kinds of stories of things I've seen. But you're absolutely right, LA. So you're going to use, in all likelihood, the same excuse I do. I don't want to get up yet. But force yourself out of bed. If you get tired, you can always lay down. But I will tell you, one of the biggest things that people forget, we talk about vitamins, we talk about all the changes you can make to your diet. Here's a cute thought for you. And it's why, like I said, I am no medical professional. Okay, I'm barely medically competent in my own world. Okay, but there is a neat little thing I discovered decades back, and that is you desire to bring your mood up and your energy level up. Not a big problem. Okay, get into direct sunlight for half an hour a day. This does not mean it's got to be a clear day. Remember, the sun's going to come through the clouds anyway. Okay, it does mean that you don't even have to leave the house. That's the nice part. Open the window, leave the screen door closed. You don't need the flies coming in. But the glass stops the impact of the sun, doesn't stop the light. The vitamin that you require in your body is already there. Okay. Now we talk about supplements and what have you, and do what you will with them. Okay, Lord knows I've started adding not supplements, but spices and herbs to my cooking, which honestly I never cooked. I always thought I was a pathetic cook. Then I went to the hospital. I'm almost a gourmet. Even if you can't get outside, maybe you can't walk well enough to get there. Okay, thank you very much, LA. We're down to 10 minutes here. Okay, sit in front of a window. Open the window so all the glass and all the plastic is out of the way. Go ahead and leave a screen door there. Half an hour a day will help you feel better. Okay, even if you're blind, okay, open the curtains, let the light in. Okay, that's one thing. Number two, find the fastest dance-paced music you can find. Doesn't have to have lyrics. Okay, but find the fastest music you can find. Crank it as high as socially acceptable and let it run. This will bring your mood up. Don't believe me? That's not a problem. If you haven't done it, give it a shot. Okay, you'll find it brings your mood up. This in turn will bring your energy levels up. Net result, your immediate world starts to change, and you start seeing things like I saw at the restaurant the other day. There was a waitress there, and the music was playing in the restaurant. Here she is serving customers, but while she's walking between them, she's dancing away. And she wasn't doing anything spectacular, but you could tell she was dancing, she was enjoying herself. Enjoy your life as you see fit, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. Okay, now, I've got a number of things I've got to get done in order to make sure I stay on track. And this is one of the reasons why I said there's this neat little thing called a list. 3 things on your list. Doesn't matter what they are, but keep them to 15-minute to half-hour tasks. Check one. When you get it done, check one off. Write a third one down. Keep the list going. This will keep you organized. Even if you happen to have ADHD or ADD. It works. You don't have to take my word for it. If you haven't done it, give it a shot. Okay. Now, where are we? Yeah, LA is going, people here get up early. Siesta around 1 or 2, around a half hour or so, and we're ready for the rest of the day. Okay, so I'm getting up at 6 in the morning, and usually by about 1 o'clock, I got to take a break. That said, we are going to be shutting things down here. Matter of fact, yeah, we're down to the last few minutes. Tomorrow, we are going to be taking a look, and let me get this straight before I put my foot all the way into my mouth. Tomorrow, we are going to be looking at your finances. Building a savings account or paying off your credit cards or your loans. Which one works how? We're going to look at that, and we're going to look at it from the standpoint of how I am doing it in my world. I am no financial advisor aside from going, this is what I did. Here's where I'm standing. Here's what I'm doing to correct it. Okay. That's what we're looking at. But that's tomorrow. On Tuesday, we're going to be looking at literally strap on extension on this one, beginning your future today. Okay? But that said, where it comes to changing your world here and now, it starts with the person looking back at you from the mirror. Now, as soon as this stream ends, walk over to whatever reflective surface you choose. Okay? Look in the eyes of the individual looking back at you, and you literally tell them, I forgive you for everything you have done and everything you feel you may have done to hinder my personal growth and happiness. Do that as soon as this stream ends. Okay? And then start acting on the list we just talked about. Okay, these are just suggestions of a way to change your world now. No more waiting for somebody else to do it. Okay? Now, with that in mind, we're just hitting the 5-minute mark. Yeah, just hitting the 5-minute mark here. And what do we got here? With that in mind, I want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. Absolute hats off to Storm in LA because they're going through their own issues and they're still taking time out to help us here. Okay, we will be back again tomorrow at approximately 8 p.m. PST. Hope to see you all then, along with your friends. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.